The NBA is going crazy right now. MJ just ended the Kobe versus LeBron debate and dropped this bombshell.
Kobe chased greatness, and this other guy, I don't have much to say about him.
MJ also said that after him, Kobe was the greatest of all time. Yes, the GOAT himself just said it. So today, we're breaking down every insane detail. What MJ meant, the plays and stats that prove Kobe was greater, and the points Jordan used to back this up. And if you think that's wild, wait until you hear the evil things LeBron did before getting into the NBA. This will make you rethink everything you knew about the NBA. You have to understand something about Kobe Bryant. The guy wasn't just obsessed with basketball. He lived it, breathed it, and then somehow found ways to make even Michael Jordan respect him. And I don't mean casually respect him. I mean the kind of respect where MJ would call Kobe his little brother and actually answer his late-night phone calls.
We're very close friends. Kobe was my dear friend. He was like a little brother.
Yes, Kobe literally called Jordan in the middle of the night just to study moves, counters, and strategies. He wanted to see how MJ would attack, how he'd read defenders, and how he'd create that space for the legendary fadeaway. And get this. This was while Kobe was already a superstar in his own right, and they were technically opponents in the league. I mean, just see this.
I know where you're going. At the end of that, no. You gotta get up quick.
If you knew where I was going, why you go for the fake?
Mike, after you fake the ball, where else you gonna
You
go?
left your feet.
Yeah, but where else you gonna go?
In the game, I go for you.
I spun all
I
the way
go
around.
for these ribs right here.
I spun all the way around and got you.
Most players would have been intimidated or distant, but Kobe treated it like mentorship. He wanted to get better, and he wanted to learn from the absolute best, and that obsession didn't stop at study sessions. Kobe trained like someone who was possessed. I'm talking about 4 a.m. workouts, the kind where the world is asleep and most of the league is dreaming about hitting snooze. He would get into the gym before anyone else, and then watch hours of film after practice, dissecting everything from defensive rotations to the tiniest footwork adjustments. Kobe expected more from himself than anyone else ever could, and that extended to how he worked with his teammates.
The people that I've always had issues or problems with are the people that don't demand excellence for themselves. I won't tolerate that.
Now, contrast that with LeBron. LeBron is a good enough player, but his focus is often on narrative, brand, and image first. And that's also why he's less respected on the court. You look at Kobe, and opponents literally feared him. Not because he was the tallest or fastest player on the court, but because he was willing to suffer more than anyone else. He'd play through injuries that would make the average person quit. Broken fingers, torn ligaments. Whatever happened, he kept going. And MJ saw that. Legends like him don't just notice talent. They notice willpower, dedication, and the kind of fearlessness that Kobe had in spades. LeBron has had incredible moments, of course, but the aura is different. Opponents may respect him, but they don't fear him in the same way Kobe commanded respect and fear. And that's why MJ's perspective matters so much. If Michael Jordan, the greatest player of all time, admired Kobe for his sacrifice and obsession, it kind of ends the debate right there. The respect speaks volumes because unlike LeBron, who is overrated in my opinion, Kobe didn't chase headlines or social media trends. He chased greatness in the purest sense of the word, and that's the major difference between them both. And speaking of differences, Kobe didn't just dominate because he was obsessed. He did it in an era that made the game brutal, punishing, and way less forgiving than the one LeBron thrives in today. You hear people talk about LeBron like he's faced the toughest competition ever, but you won't believe what Kobe went through night after night in his era. The NBA when Kobe was coming up was brutal. And I don't mean just a little rough. It was basically a gladiator ring every night. Hand-checking was allowed, which basically meant defenders could stick to you like Velcro. Try hitting a mid-range fadeaway when Gary Payton or Scottie Pippen can grab your jersey and push you off balance, and you'll see what I mean. And that's not exaggeration. That was literally how the game was played. Fouls were rare, superstar protection was basically non-existent, and if you didn't have pain tolerance, you didn't survive. Now let's talk about minutes, because this is where things get really wild. Back then, there was no load management. Star players were logging 40-plus minutes per game on back-to-back nights, in the middle of the playoffs, and against defenders who weren't holding back. The early 2000s Lakers, with Kobe and Shaq, were playing like this every night. Meanwhile today, LeBron might sit out a game just because he's tired, or the team wants to extend his career. Kobe didn't have that luxury. He didn't have doctors telling him to rest or sophisticated recovery plans. He had grit, ice baths, and sheer willpower. Defense in Kobe's era was another nightmare. The perimeter defense wasn't just about staying in front of your guy, it was about pushing, grabbing, and punishing. You had guys like Tony Allen later in the league, but back then, you had defenders like Bruce Bowen and Gary Payton who were basically out to cause you physical harm with every possession. And if you managed to get past them, good luck. Hand checking could still mess up your rhythm, screens could crush your ribs, and one bad landing could take you out for weeks. Kobe's mid-range game, footwork, and relentless killer instinct were literally what kept him alive in that chaos. Here's where it gets crazy for the modern NBA fan. LeBron plays in what basically looks like a sanitized, officiated playground in comparison. Pace and space offenses dominate, defenses can't touch you, and hand-checking is banned. Stars get free throws just for minor contact, and the rules are designed to protect them. Load management is normalized and teams track every step, heart rate, and minute of sleep. The league literally builds you a safety net. And don't even get me started on scoring inflation. The pace is faster, three-point shooting is everywhere, and the defenses are softer. You don't get those 30-point nights by enduring relentless physicality like Kobe. Now, you get them, because the game favors offense. And what is crazy, especially for those of us who watched him while he was alive, you'd think you know how great Kobe was until you actually break down the man's resume. Let's start with how he was a 5-time NBA champion, 2-time Finals MVP, 1-time regular season MVP in 2008, an 18-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champion, and he made the All-Defensive Team 12 times, which basically means he was also one of the league's best defenders for over a decade. And you can rattle off stats all day, but here's where it gets insane. His 81-point game against the Raptors in 2006, which is the second highest scoring game in NBA history. And get this, it was against a real defense. That night, Kobe made 28 of 46 shots, 7 threes, a few rebounds, and a couple assists. He literally controlled the entire game. But wait, it gets better. A year before, he dropped 62 points in just 3 quarters against the Mavericks. He outscored the entire Mavs team before the game was even over. And if you think he was done, nope. He closed his career in 2016 with 60 points in his final game. I'm serious, 60 points at 37 years old. And the insane part is that most of that came in the second half. He basically wrote his own Hollywood ending while the whole world watched. But Kobe wasn't just scoring points, he was one of the greatest mid-range shooters and footwork masters ever. I'm talking about moves that made defenders like Bruce Bowen, Ron Artest, and Tony Allen look like they were chasing shadows. Every fadeaway, every step back, and every pull-up jumper came from hours of film study, repetition, and obsession. And for context, you have to remember where he came from. He attended Lower Merion High School and was drafted straight into the NBA at 17. Most kids that age were figuring out algebra or what to eat for lunch, while Kobe was going up against pros twice his age, guys like Gary Payton, Karl Malone, and Scottie Pippen. And you know what he did? He didn't shy away, he outworked them in practice, out-hustled them on the court, and eventually earned their respect. Everything Kobe accomplished, every highlight, every award, and every insane stat came from work, obsession, and pain. No hype, no social media, and no brand narrative. Just a 17-year-old kid who refused to lose to anyone, outworking veterans, perfecting his craft, and eventually forcing the world to take notice. Michael Jordan said it best.
Kobe made legends nervous, and this other guy only knows how to make headlines.
You hear that, and it's like, okay, MJ doesn't hand out compliments lightly, but here he's basically saying Kobe was operating on another level of obsession and fear. And the more you dig into it, the more it becomes clear. Ask any of the players and legends who played with him or against him, and they all say the same thing. Kobe was exactly what he called himself, the Mamba. Take Magic Johnson, for example. He straight up said Kobe was the closest thing to Michael Jordan.
Break it down for us, because it seems like Kobe is the closest thing we've ever seen to MJ.
Molly, you're absolutely right.
Think about that. Magic played with guys like Kareem, Worthy, Bird, even himself. And he's telling the world that Kobe had the same aura and the same killer instinct. Then there's Shaq. Shaq played for the Lakers with Kobe for 8 years, and he calls him the most relentless worker he ever saw and the greatest Laker ever.
Kobe is the greatest Laker ever.
And here's the part you won't believe. Even after winning championships together, Kobe would still push Shaq harder in practice. Like, this isn't a joke. Shaq admitted he couldn't match Kobe's intensity, and sometimes he feared what Kobe could do if left unchecked. Can you imagine a player who made even Shaq nervous? That's the level we're talking about. And it doesn't stop there. Wade said Kobe was on a different level from every other player he faced. Not just better, but mentally on another planet. Wade talked about how loved and respected Kobe was even outside the court. He could be walking with another huge NBA superstar, and the fans would literally forget that another person existed because Kobe was around.
So I'm walking with Kobe through the Olympic Village, and this is when I realized he was at a different level than I. This motherfucker could speak 9 different languages. He spoke to everybody in their native tongue.
Allen Iverson, who is one of the most fearless scorers in NBA history, said this.
Right when you think, Mike's the greatest ever, which he is, Kobe Bryant come along.
Yep.
And that's no, I'm not LeBron, but as far as GOAT, it's Michael Jordan all day long, and Kobe Bryant is right on his heels.
And get this, Gilbert Arenas, one of the most confident, cocky scorers of the 2000s, has openly said guarding LeBron was easier than guarding Kobe.
You guarded LeBron, you guarded Kobe. And what's your toughest matchup?
Well, Kobe will be the tougher matchup, and Kobe is the tougher matchup because he's way more relentless.
Arenas literally built his career on creativity, offensive tricks, and intimidation. If he's admitting someone is harder to guard, you better believe every defender in the league felt it too. And it wasn't stats, highlights, or flash that got Kobe this reputation. It was fear and respect. Legends respected Kobe. Opponents feared him. Even teammates knew that if Kobe had the ball, you were toast. Now compare that to LeBron. Sure, people respect him. But fear? That's a different story. LeBron doesn't make defenders hesitate the same way. Across eras, the stories are consistent. Kobe was different. So yeah, if you're trying to understand why MJ, Shaq, Wade, Iverson, Arenas, and Magic all said the things they did, it boils down to this. Kobe didn't just play the game, he controlled it. He pushed players to their limits physically and mentally, forced opponents to adapt, and changed the way people thought about basketball. That's something LeBron could never achieve, even after spending 1 billion years in the NBA. And if you need examples, let's dive into some of the greatest games that prove why Kobe is greater than LeBron. Take the 2003 playoffs against the Spurs. Kobe dropped 36 points in Game 4, but here's the insane part. He was dealing with a sprained ankle. And here's one that often gets overshadowed by the big scoring nights. In 2007 against the Golden State Warriors, Kobe scored 65 points in just 1 game. But wait, you'll love this. He did it with just 50 shots. And if that wasn't enough, he was doing it while orchestrating the Lakers' offense, rebounding, and playing lockdown defense at times. The 2010 NBA Finals, Game 7, is another insane example. But let's look closer than just the stats. Sure, Kobe had 23 points, but he also grabbed 15 rebounds and played suffocating defense on Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. He wasn't just scoring, he was everywhere on the floor, making winning plays that don't show up in the box score. That game ended with the Lakers winning the title. But watching Kobe in that series, you could see why opponents genuinely feared him. Now let's talk clutch. In 2008, Game 5 against the Nuggets, Kobe dropped 35 points and nailed a fadeaway with just 1.5 seconds left to force overtime. And this wasn't a casual buzzer beater. He carried the team through double overtime against one of the league's best defenses, with a crowd that was trying to will him to fail. That's pure Mamba mentality. And let's not forget February 2016, when the Los Angeles Lakers played against the San Antonio Spurs. Kobe dislocated a finger so bad that it was facing the opposite direction, but instead of walking off, he calmly walked to the bench, had his trainer Gary Vitti snap it back into place, and returned to the game like nothing happened.
He dislocated his finger, and it can be really, really difficult. Finally, it goes back into place, and then as soon as it goes in, he was gone. Like I patted him on the head, like, okay, it's gonna be okay. Next thing I know, he was gone. That in and of itself showed the toughness and the tenacity of Kobe Bryant.
In 2013, he ruptured his Achilles, but still hit 2 free throws before he was forced to walk off the court.
So Kobe Bryant cannot continue. But he's going to shoot the free throws.
Meanwhile, you look at LeBron's so-called clutch moments and you see the opposite. Remember that finals game in 2014 where LeBron had a mild leg cramp? Well, here was how he handled it.
On the bench as well, so good crossover by James, and on the landing, immediately cramps up.
Doris?
Mike, I continue to use this handheld thermometer.
And this is your GOAT? The guy you're comparing with Kobe? I mean, that's just straight disrespect to even put two of them in the same discussion. And if you actually look at the numbers that matter, Kobe straight up crushes LeBron in the stuff that makes a player legendary. I mean, come on. Kobe made the all-defensive team 12 times, LeBron only 5. Kobe was a full-on nightmare for anyone trying to touch him. LeBron defends, yeah, but nobody's really shaking in their sneakers when he's on the other end the way they did with Kobe. Now let's talk scoring. Kobe's highest points in a game was 81 points in a single game, while LeBron had 61. And don't even get me started on how Kobe got them. I'm talking fadeaways, tough mid-range jumpers, perfect turnaround post moves. That's not just scoring, that's art. LeBron relies on physicality, spacing, and pace, while Kobe built his buckets from skill, grind, and sheer obsession. And what about volume? Kobe scored 40 or more points in 122 games and hit 50-plus points 26 times, including playoffs and against top defenders. But LeBron? He's only done 79 games with 40-plus points and 15 games with 50-plus points. And a lot of those Kobe games came without spending over 20 years in the league like LeBron, or the benefit of super teams, or these modern offensive rules that make scoring easier. Honestly, Kobe's mid-range game, footwork, fadeaways, and ability to take over a game under pressure are unmatched. LeBron's athletic and flashy, no question. But if you're talking killer instinct, fear factor, and pure skill execution when it counts, Kobe wins every time, and the numbers don't lie. And here's where it gets juicy, because stats can tell you what happened on the court. But character? That's where Kobe and LeBron's legacies really split. Kobe lived for one thing, basketball. And he did it quietly, with no cameras, no Instagram posts, and no extra work trying to build a brand. This wasn't for fans. This wasn't for hype. This was just pure obsession with the game. Kobe let the court decide his legacy, and everything else was noise. But LeBron, bro, it's like night and day. Everything is tied to image, brand, and narrative. The decision in 2010 was one of the weirdest things I have ever seen an NBA player do. Especially after crushing an entire city's hopes so bad they got so angry and started burning jerseys. Yeah, it was that bad. In fact, Dan Gilbert, the Cavs owner, had to write a letter to the fans, where he called LeBron a coward. And personally, I don't think he was wrong. Remember the China situation in 2019 when Rockets GM Daryl Morey tweeted support for Hong Kong protesters? LeBron publicly called him not educated, which was him basically trying to protect his business interests instead of standing up for human rights, and the list goes on. What of his 2021 tweet after Kobe Bryant was unlawfully shot by a police officer? Guess what he did? In order not to offend the big men in power and to protect his so-called image, he deleted the tweet, then posted this afterwards. Guess Dan Gilbert wasn't wrong with the coward thing after all. And here's the part most people forget. LeBron has been breaking rules right from the start of his career. Early on, when he had just started, he was given a custom Hummer H2 with TVs, a sound system, and King James embroidered in the seats, which was against the rules, because the rules said high school athletes couldn't take gifts over $100. This situation got so big that the Ohio High School Athletic Association had to set up an investigation. Eventually, his mom said she bought it for him, but we all know the truth. Then just days later, he accepted 2 throwback jerseys worth $845, so he had to sit out at least one game while returning the jerseys. Imagine that, already breaking rules, and he hadn't even gotten into the NBA. So yeah, Kobe lived and breathed basketball while LeBron was busy managing brands, headlines, and controversies. And I know some LeBron fans are about to jump in the comments with their usual counter-arguments as to why they think LeBron is better. They'll say things like, LeBron has been in the NBA longer, his scoring totals are higher. Yeah, I've heard it all. But let's break it down. Because when you actually look at the details, most of these points don't hold water. First, the longevity argument. People love to point out that LeBron has been in the NBA for longer. Sure, that's impressive, but longevity doesn't automatically equal superiority. Kobe spent a decade at the very top, defining the league, carrying teams, and winning championships without the advantages LeBron has had later in his career. LeBron needed 2 decades, multiple teams, and constantly shifting narratives only to be less of a player than Kobe. Another thing they love to mention is scoring totals. I mean, if you are a self-proclaimed GOAT, spent so much time in the league that even your son grew up and is playing on the same team as you, getting the highest points isn't such a huge deal. So, when someone drops the LeBron has longevity, Kobe doesn't line, or LeBron has higher totals, you already know that's all they have to prove their point. At the end of the day, if you ask real NBA fans, the guys that watched players like MJ, Bird, Magic, and Shaq, they'll tell you the same thing. Kobe was a greater player than this dude will ever be.